Number 5.
Number 5.
The number 5 K-State Farmageddon game/moment is a loss in 2018. Iowa State 42, K-State 38. My list is not all about the obvious moments like the 2017 last-minute victory, some foreshadowing there. I'm not going to be just a sucker for the one moment. I need more context here. I need, what did this game do for the program? What did this game mean? How much fun was everybody able to milk out of this game? Iowa State 42, K-State 38 in 2018 is the most significant game on this list. If we're talking about significance for what happened with the program because of said game, it is the most significant on this list. We all know that if K-State had won that game, which K-State led by 17 in the fourth quarter, and then became bowl eligible, the Bill Snyder situation at the end of that year would have been infinitely messier than it was. And it wasn't exactly totally clean, as is. I mean, that was, remember, a week-long saga before we had some actual clarity. And even then, the clarity seemed a little muddy. But if K-State had won that game, become bowl eligible, what happens then with that week? Now you have a bowl to prep for. Does Gene Taylor get to have those meetings with Bill Snyder about his retirement and what was going to happen with the future of the program? We had, leading up to that, even Mitch Holthus, of all people, as stern a disciple of Bill Snyder as anybody, saying the program needs to move on. This is the time. The program needs to get somebody else in here. And I think most everybody now is pretty happy with the job that Chris Kleiman has done and can see, looking back on it 2 years later almost now, that that was clearly what needed to happen. So that is point number 1 as to why this makes the list. But beyond even that, if you want just what Farmageddon is all about, Farmageddon is all about K-State Twitter and how much fun happens on the internet because of this game. And in this game, you had it all. This was the internet encapsulated into 3 hours. So much bleep talking from K-State fans, and the glory of that as you straggle into this game at 5-6, not thinking highly of yourself, conflicted feelings about the program, and yet here comes Iowa State thinking they're high and mighty with Matt Campbell, and you're all of a sudden putting it on them with a 17-point lead in their house in the fourth quarter. Yeah, you best believe K-State Twitter was talking some smack. So you enjoy the high highs of riding your high horse on the internet. And then you get the low lows of blowing a 17-point lead in the span of about 11 minutes of game time. And Iowa State comes back to win. Then you have to deal with the agony of defeat, and you see the spectacle that is Iowa State fans coming back and raining it down on K-State. And then you move to everybody trying to figure out what's going on with the future of the program. In the midst of all of that, it was fascinating, it was thrilling, it was conflicting. There was so much to that game in 2018. And in the end, K-State fans may not have gotten what they want, but sometimes, Mitch, you might just find you get what you need.
You have not convinced me that should be a top 5 game in Farmageddon history. A lot of that, and usually when you put together a top 5 best games in a rivalry, you usually talk mostly about what happened in that game. Well, what happened in that game is, you're right, K-State choked and gave up a 3-score game. A lot of that argument was what happened outside the game and what happened after. I'm not going to argue that point, but now the rest of your list is flawed because the rest of the list is going to be about the actual game and what took place and what was memorable about it.
Not true. Not true at all. We'll see. Not true. Number 4. Number 4 on my list of top 5 K-State Farmageddon games and moments. 2019. K-State 27, Iowa State 17. The game in and of itself, again, Mitch, that's not specifically why this is on here. It's more about the significance of the win and what it said. And what it said was, in year 1, after inheriting a depleted roster that did not include a scholarship running back when Kleiman took over. He not only beat Mr. 7-5, the second coming of Newt Rockne himself, Matt Campbell, in year one with the depleted roster, but simultaneously, while winning that game, he finished with a better record in year one than Matt Campbell did. That was a significant win for K-State on a number of levels in this rivalry. So to me, fairly pedestrian, boring game notwithstanding, that warrants inclusion here on this list. If we want to get into the specifics of the game, it did start off with a bang that was really fun with the Josh Youngblood kickoff return for a touchdown. It included a pretty apropos element to it, which was Jacardier Wright just coming out of nowhere and all of a sudden running all over the Iowa State defense. Can make fun of Iowa State. What are you doing letting this true freshman who hasn't done anything all year and, frankly, anything since run all over you guys? There are elements of that are fun to pull from the game, but it's about the significance of what that said and what this whole thing is about, which is K-State fans saying, oh, you're so cute, Iowa State. Look how cute you are. That is what that game was about last year more than anything else. Very emblematic.
I was in the press box with the PA announcer in that game, spotting, so I watched the whole game in binoculars, and it was awesome watching the crowd go absolutely, and the bench going nuts when Joshua Youngblood brought that kick back for a score to begin the game. That was memorable enough to, I would say, put that game certainly in contention for a top 5 spot.
All right. Number 3. This one will be lower than it would be for a lot of people. 2015. 2015, K-State 38, Iowa State 35. If we're talking about how the win happened and the specifics of the game and the end of it, there's nothing that can top it in Farmageddon history. Not even the blocked extra point from Emmanuel Lemire in 2009. But my problem with this, and the reason it's not higher than number 3, is that what did it mean in the grand scheme of things? Did anybody really enjoy watching the 2015 team play, particularly? They were 3-6 before that game. It was not a really fun team to watch. That was not a team that did anything significant. All this did was preserve the chance for you to go get destroyed in the Liberty Bowl by Arkansas. But there was the most epic of disasters for Paul Rhodes in that game. One of the craziest endings that you will ever see, and one of the biggest coaching blunders you will ever see. Iowa State with 1:31 left in the game had a 7-point lead and the ball. It was 1st and 10, and K-State only had one timeout. And Iowa State not only did not win, but they lost the game by 3 in regulation, which is unbelievable. Paul Rhodes could have taken a knee and run down the clock and gotten out of there with a win. He didn't. They handed it off. Mike Warren fumbled. K-State would score 2 plays later. Then Iowa State came back out and Joel Lanning got hit from behind, a strip sack, coughed it up again, leading to Jack Cantelli's game-winning field goal for the Wildcats. As epic of a collapse as you will ever see.
Number 2,
1999. And this is where my true colors will really show here by including this game, one that a lot of younger K-State fans wouldn't even know about. But let me tell you all why this game deserves inclusion here. K-State won 35-28, but Mitch, again, it's all about the context of what this game meant, which is the theme to my list. K-State is coming off of the 1998 season where they almost won a national championship. They lost a boatload of talent. Michael Bishop, Jeff Kelly, Darnell McDonald, Travis Oaks, studs across the board. The Iowa State game is game 3 of the 2019 or the 99 season. K-State rolls through 2 rummies in the non-con like they always do, and they're going to play an eventual 4-win Iowa State team on the road with all of these doubts about what this team's going to be replacing everybody, and they fall behind 28-7 in Ames. They fall behind 28-7 and have to bench Michael Bishop's replacement, Jonathan Beasley. And then K-State shoots out of a cannon on the legs of David Allen with one of his signature punt return touchdowns with Adam freaking Helm at quarterback finds a way to rip Iowa State's heart out in the second half and escape with a 35-28 win that led to an 11-win season. That game had significance to it in terms of what it set up for the rest of the year. You also got to rip Iowa State's heart out, and it had one of David Allen's signature plays in it.
Number one.
Love that one. But number one has to be 2002. 2002, K-State 58, number 21, Iowa State 7. This, of course, was the Seneca-Wallace implosion. You beat a ranked Iowa State team, and you got to not only rip Iowa State's heart out and just completely stomp on it, but you did so when they had hope. A lot of times, mediocre Iowa State team rolls in there. The 99 Iowa State team, Iowa State fans weren't geeked up about that, but they were in 2002 because they thought they had the Heisman Trophy winner in Seneca Wallace. That was a team that was ranked in the top 10 at one point that year. Hey, we've got a chance to beat K-State this year. And on Big Play Saturday on TBS, K-State handed Iowa State their worst loss at that point in 15 years, which where Iowa State's program was in 2002, to hand them their worst loss in 15 years, that's saying something because they were getting beat by a lot of people. And it not only included just the drubbing, but it included the novelty of Bobby Walker putting together 2 pick sixes on Seneca Wallace in the span of 23 seconds. 3 plays. 2 of them were pick sixes by Bobby Walker. One of the most demoralizing things you will ever see was Iowa State's coaching staff, their offensive coaches. When they cut up to a shot of them in the booth at Bill Snyder Family Stadium, they looked as demoralized as anybody I've ever seen at a college football game. If we're talking about what you want out of this, keeping Iowa State down as little bro, as Diet K-State, as great value K-State, 2002 exemplified that better than any other game on this list. So it is numero uno.
Any honorable mentions in there that you didn't mention? Yeah,
the one that I feel bad about that I wanted to, I would love to have found a way to work onto the list is 2009.
Oh, okay.
It is because I had such a blast at that game, and the blocked extra point is just such a, you're not expecting that at all. You're down because Iowa State just scored this game-tying touchdown, and you're not even thinking really about the extra point. And then all of a sudden you're just going nuts because the game is in essence over right there. Well, it was great, but again, like 2009, not that significant of a season.
You had a blast because it was an Arrowhead and you could drink beers in there like I was in the 2010 game. I am going to throw in forget about take out your number 5. I'm throwing in the 2000 game because K-State fans might not remember this, but that was technically win-wise the greatest year in Iowa State history, because that was the only time they've ever won 9 games, and they were a contender to win the North. And that was a pretty big game that year when they came into Manhattan and K-State spanked them. I mean, 56-10. I love the blowout victories. Now, Rosenfels throws for a couple of interceptions. You might remember Haywood, the running back, Ennis Haywood. He was checked for like 30 yards in that game. J.J. Moses didn't do anything. K-State just shut them down all night long in a game where people were probably picking Iowa State because that would have probably knocked K-State out of contention to go to the Big 12 championship that year.
Well, and somebody is in their car right now screaming about 2017. And guys, I get it. You won on a walk-off in the last play. It was a crazy comeback. I don't know. You guys know, I don't even try and hide it anymore. By the end of Bill Snyder 2.0, I did not have that much of an emotional attachment really to what was going on. I mean, I was just so frustrated and browbeaten by what the program was at that point. I don't have the same associations with those teams as everybody else seems to, or at least a lot of people seem to. So that's a lot of it for me, and I'll be completely honest with that.